credit score. This is a massive one. There are many people who don't have a great credit score. We'll be joined by Luca Falpini, Holistic Financial Advisor, for that conversation. And then in the second half of the show, we continue with our masterclass together with Decorex on future living and design trends. This is episode 3. We are going to talk again about these future living and design trends, but also what you can expect at Decorex this year. Alan Hayward and Gareth van Niekerk join us again, who are the co-executive creative directors of Decorex Africa. And then Ilse Wessels, curator, artist and design educator from Greenside Design Center, will join us as well for that conversation. So we have quite a treat of guests to help us out. So get in touch with us. Give us a call. 011 883 0702. SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 Afternoons and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Okay, let's talk about those of you parentals, and maybe you're an aunt or a caregiver or somebody else in a child's life. Share with me. If your child, niece, nephew, they can be young, they can be a lot older, has friends that you wish your child was not friends with. And I do know of parents who are very adamant with communicating and saying very clearly, listen, you cannot be friends with those people anymore. I'll give an example. There is a mother whose son is 12 years old. Now, all of a sudden, where they stay, there's like a park close by to where they stay. And she noticed that when the son was going to ride his bike and go play at the park, there was suddenly an older kid that was also hanging out at the park that was like 16 or 17 years old. Okay, she didn't really pay no mind to it because it's not, they live in the burbs and they aren't really kids to play with. It's a close enough distance for the son to go by himself to ride his bike and play. It's a quiet neighborhood. However, the one day she just noticed like something in her was like, She observed and was like, okay, leave the kid. They're playing soccer. They're kicking a ball together. Not too bad. And then one day, this older teenager who's 16 or 17 comes asking for the son to come hang out. And the mother's like, hi man, something does not feel right because my kid is 12. This one is like 16. Okay. Later on, she notices that when she was driving past the park, that the 16-year-old was with their friends and they were smoking. The son wasn't there, and she just made a mental note of it because it's like, okay, I noticed that kid smokes. Not my child. My child is still 12, but it's just a note. Until one day, the child tells her that no, this other kid, the older kid who's now their friend in the neighborhood, was saying that they must go somewhere together. Like, huh? The mom lost it. Her words were that the hood in her came out. Like the part of her that is, I live in the burbs, but you can't take the hood out of me, came out. Now, when you have to ask a 16-year-old, why do you want to be friends with a 12-year-old? What is the reason that you need to be friends? Where are you trying to take my child? And the 12-year-old innocently is like, but that's the only friend I have to play with in the area. And the mother to say, you may not hang out with that kid again. The next time that teenager came asking for the son at the gate, she used words I cannot use on air due to the PCCSA. But you can only imagine what she had to say. And it really got me wondering around this concept of having your child having friends that you are not hundreds on. Now, I am not yet at that stage where my son has like that many friends because he's 4, he's small. And there's days where my son will say, Mommy, this person said, they're not my friend. And he said, sorry, now we're friends. So it's not like on that level. However, there are certain kids that I have noticed in his age group, not necessarily at his creche, you notice, where I'm like, konintwe off. It's ni rechni. Where you look at a child's behavior and you think to yourself, would I actually want my child hanging out with that child for play dates? And maybe I'm being judgmental, I'm not sure. But I would imagine that other parents might feel this way. Now, I never had an experience where my parents ever felt like, we don't want you being friends with this child because they are a bad crowd or a bad influence. I'm very fortunate that I've never been in that situation. The only time that my parents were like, yay, was when I was in becoming a teenager and boys were phoning the house. That was the only time. And if we wanted to hang out with boys, sorry, mom and dad, if you're listening, we went to the mall and we hung out with boys there. Y'all didn't know. But I've never had to have my parents say to me, don't hang out with that child. But I have seen children whose behavior, for me, is not behavior I would like to influence my child. Like, I don't know if I'm making sense. It's just that thing where you just, and Shem, my son's creche, they do a fantastic job with protecting children and protecting other parents, in the sense that, let's say, your child got hit at school or somebody bit your child. They won't say which child bit your child. They'll tell you, hey, please note, Mukokegi fell, he got pushed and then so-and-so happened. Or somebody got bitten at school. They won't say, oh, the child was bitten by. And that's the right thing to do. And in the parents' meeting, when they were saying, this is the age of biting, this is the age of certain things, kids are learning the names of private parts, they're starting to make fun of one another. They will never, ever expose who did what. Even if there's an outbreak of something, they won't expose who it's this child who came to school with whatever the lice, whatever it is. They do a fantastic job of it. But now our kids are old enough to tell us, when we're like, who bit you? Who pushed you? Who kicked you? Did you do the kicking? Was it you? They're old enough to tell us. And it is human nature, in my view, that yes, you will possibly judge or look at a certain way at other parents. And I've started to have that feeling where I'm like, there's certain kids that maybe I don't want my children to be friends with. Somebody on my TikTok lives, Buddha is laughing his head off and he says, your parents are going to ask for a meeting with you when you get off air about hanging out with boys at the mall. Shem, my parents will be strong, hey? They will be very strong because they've had to hear anything and everything from me. But I want to hear from you, your children of any age, even if they are teenagers, even if they are young, maybe your children are adult children and there's certain friends that you feel like, I wish my child was not friends with that child. Maybe they annoy you, or I'm not sure what it is. Or maybe when they come visit at the house, they make themselves too something. I remember when I was younger, when I was visiting my aunt, and she had friends that were visiting from the US. And we are raised a certain kind of way as South Africans in general. And this American child came in. He was young, maybe like 11. He literally did not greet us, walked in, opened the fridge like he doesn't know us, and was saying, y'all got cola? Y'all got cola or Pepsi or something up in here? Y'all, what y'all got in here? I want to, where the remote? Like, and I remember thinking to myself, because I must have been like 13, 14. I remember thinking to myself, yay, this is awkward, uncomfortable. And I think about certain children that I'm like, there are certain kids I might not want to be friends with my child because of the influence they might have on my child. And it's not restricted to behaviors. maybe at your house you guys bath once a week. And things like that. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line, 072 702 and 702. Do let me know. Does your child have a friend or friends that you wish they were not friends with? Tell me the reason. Doesn't matter how old your child is. Mama, if you're going to call and expose my friends you don't like, please keep the names generic. Amen.
Clement Maniatella,
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
There's someone who asked whether or not you regret the decisions you took as the EFF to parachute prominent figures like Advocate Mkhwebane, Kalp Niehaus, and Zonele Manyi, two of whom have since left the organization. Is there regret there?
Yeah, that was wrong. That was wrong, and as an organization, we'll continue trying to correct where we made that mistake. Carl is with us, is a leader, and he's got credentials of being a leader. But these other ones, they just came, and we take responsibility as leadership. Even when you make mistakes, you must be able to say, you know, this one, it was a mistake.
Marshall Dlamini, the EFF's Secretary General.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Life moves fast and you're keeping up. So maybe it's time you gave yourself some credit with a Visa FNB credit card, a resource that actually helps you move forward. It's about tapping into opportunities, covering what matters, and having the freedom to pursue the things you want on your terms. Get credit that's flexible, guided, and reliable. Because when credit is done right, it doesn't hold you back, it backs you. Apply for a Visa FNB credit card online or visit your nearest branch today. Help changes everything. T's and C's apply. Credit is subject to meeting the qualifying criteria. FNB is a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
If you want to know about the heart and art of jazz, look no further than the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival, a grand ensemble of over 50 world-class acts across 4 stages for 3 whole days. That's right, from the 26th, 27th and 28th of September. The Sandton Convention Center will be demure and sophisticated as the fine Standard Bank Joy of Jazz 2025 takes you deep into the heart, the art and splendor of jazz. Take me there. Book your seat via Ticketmaster now.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
The conversation around abuse often, and rightly, centers on women and children. But abuse can affect men too. Many men suffer emotional and psychological abuse in silence, afraid they won't be believed. Others have caused harm and want to change. Tune in to 702 Drive tomorrow when the Dis-Chem Foundation widens the lens on gender-based violence to include every voice that matters in breaking the cycle. Remember, every time you swipe your Dis-Chem or Baby City benefit card, you help fund support, healing and accountability. The Dis-Chem Foundation, caring for the community. Every swipe counts.
Your voice,
Your life
your afternoon radio
on 702 Afternoons.
with Relebogile Mabotja.
22 minutes after 1 o'clock, and we're having a conversation around your child's friends that you're not feeling. Please let us be mindful of using names because we might be referring to children who are minors, but we're also referring to children who are adults. So keep that in mind so that we are respectful, but we are acknowledging a very real thing. Obviously, when your child is an adult, you can't tell them who they can and can't be friends with. I would even say, by a certain age, once they're able to speak for themselves, they pretty much can choose who their friends are. But maybe they are those friends who come over that give you as a parent concern, the ick, they annoy with their behavior, or you noticing something, or you feel like they're a bad influence. 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line, 072-702-1702. Pumla in Joburg, how are you?
Hi, I'm very good. And how are you, Relebogile?
I am good.
I'm a first-time caller. I got emotional with the topic, and I had to stop on the side of the road.
Welcome. Thank you so much. We love our first timers. Welcome to the club.
Yes, yes. Your story touched me. I'm 50 years old. When I was 13, there was a particular kid that my parents didn't want me to be friends with. And it was serious to a point where no other child on the street was allowed to play with this kid. And that was because she was much more advanced than us. She was dating, and she was dating people with cars or money, and we would see it. It was vivid. But also she was from a well-off family, and most of us were very poor on our street. So I thought it was also some kind of jealousy, whether it was coming from our parents or just the kids on the streets also were too jealous of her that we isolated her. She was completely isolated. And I chose to be friends with this girl. And this is
how old were you? The both of you?
We were about 13, 14. And this is a girl who took me to my first restaurant at Wimpy on Grace Street in Johannesburg, next to Chemical.
Oh.
She took me, she gave me, she's a girl who I can attest my aspiration for wealth and money and a nice life to her. I got mine through studying. Unfortunately, she didn't choose the studying route to get hers. But she inspired me immensely. My parents did not want to see me with this girl. My mom would almost want to knock us off if we were standing on the corner of the road. At some point, she poured hose-pipe water on us while I thought she was sleeping, and she was passing by, and I happened to chat to her. It was bad, like your topic today, and I want to say that not because a person is bad, your child is not empowered enough to make the right choices by themselves. I had two things to choose from this girl. The nice, glamorous life that she exposed me to in terms of I didn't know those things exist. I was too poor. My roof was too low, and she blew the roof for me. And I saw possibilities. And I'm like, no way, I want to be like that girl. Or at least I want to get to go where she goes and see what she sees, because it's better than just sitting in my shack, in our shack, where we didn't have anything to aspire for.
Pumla, I actually never anticipated how painful that experience would be with how you expressed it, because you know, when you speak about the type of impact that she had on your life, what she exposed you to, and now your parents took somebody away that showed you, as you said, that the ceiling is a lot higher. There actually is no ceiling compared to what you understood as the ceiling in your life. Where is she today? Oh, Pumla.
She's there. Life did not give her a great deal, but she is there. And she remains my inspiration, my first restaurant experience, my first movie at Stair Chemical, at a Kind Center in Johannesburg in Commissioner Street. There's so much I can say. And of this, we were poor. I don't know if you understand, sometimes when you are poor, the only thing you know is just your family and the shack that you live in and a little exposure you get at school. And you get those things maybe later on at varsity if you get an opportunity. I didn't know that you could have your own bedroom. When I went to visit her, she could show me her bedroom, and it blew me away. But you have your own bedroom. We share a one-room house. I don't understand. How do you get to have your own bedroom? And she would tell me that my daddy owns taxis and he's got money, and my mom does this. I'm like, wow. So we can also get there if my dad had more money and my mom had more money. Oh, okay. So if I get more money, I'll be able to, okay. And I would put two and two together like that. I had no exposure. she gave me that exposure of a better life.
So how did you stop being friends with her after, you know, I wouldn't even just say it was your parents, it was the community that kept you away from her?
We remained friends under very hard circumstances. It was very hard. At least I was accepted at her house. But I would get beaten when I come home late, or if my mom didn't know where I was, because then she knew that I was spending time with her. So we grew up, and when we completed matric, and I went to university, and unfortunately she didn't complete her studies, and that's when our paths just took two different turns. And we tried to connect now, but it's not easy. I won't lie, we're not close anymore.
Did you?
But she knows. I told her the story. She knows. It was open. I told her, though, that she inspires me every day. She was my inspiration, that one day I will be able to actually show her how much she has meant in my life, how much she has shown me possibilities that I never knew existed. So the bad stuff that she was probably doing, because she was much more advanced in mind, and really she had money, so she was more exposed. We did not have that exposure. She inspired me in that. I didn't get inspired with maybe liking the boys, or maybe relying on the boys to be my support. I chose school, and I did well. She did not choose school. I can just say that she didn't.
Did you ever have a conversation with your mother about it as an adult, as a grown-up?
I did.
What did she
I told
say?
her it was mean and ugly, and it was bad. I don't think she gets the gravitas of what it did to me. But I did speak to my mom, and she apologized, but she's never come to my house ever since, ever. I think if we had a reconciliation where she comes visit my house and my mom says sorry to her, I would have felt better. So we never had that. No, we never had that.
So if
I still despise my mom for it, honestly, if you ask me. Like, it's something that I can look back and say, what did my mom say to me with the most? It's one of the things I could list very high. And my dad was supportive of it. I'm mentioning my mom. I was raised by both parents, by the way, and they're both still alive. Thank God. And yeah, I told them, and they still said, "Nasile ngwanong, na tana le bashimanyana fa tsa gatima." Yes, she did, but that didn't take away that she was a nice human being, and she loved me. She inspired me. She took me to my first restaurant experience when you couldn't afford it,
and she was generous outside of the outside part. So if she's listening right now, if she were listening right now, what would you say to her?
Sure. I don't know, because I know she knows I love her. Saying it on the radio is not going to add or take anything away from it. I just wish her well. I wish her a better life. She deserves it.
I'm so sorry, Pumla. I never imagined that opening up this conversation would show this other side, and I think you've given us all a big lesson, especially those of us who are parents, to be super mindful about the friends that our children have and the impact.
I would love to say something to the parents, if I may.
Yes.
If it's the last thing I say, and I'm going to drop the call. Listen to your children. Just listen to your children. They have a mind of their own. They have feelings. Don't treat them like robots, as if you are to tell them everything and anything. Just listen to your children. Sit down, put the phone down, and listen to your children. That's all.
I'm sending you hugs, Pumla. Big, big hugs and squeezes. I'm so, so sorry, and I hope the two of you can be reunited and healed. We continue when we come back. So late for Eyewitness News. Apologies. It's after 1:30. Time for your latest. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Lebo. Good afternoon. The Eastern Cape government says it will need about 88 million rand to repair hospitals and clinics damaged by the recent floods. The Cooperative Governance Department in the province has confirmed that 63 facilities were damaged by inclement weather. MEC Zolile Williams provided an update on disaster response management and recovery operations today. President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver his budget vote address in Parliament this afternoon amid calls for him to resign. It's expected the address will be dominated by recent decisions the president has taken involving compromised cabinet ministers. Several opposition parties have questioned Ramaphosa's recent decision to place Police Minister Senzo Mchunu on special leave and appoint an acting minister. And police in India have arrested a suspect in connection with the hit-and-run incident which claimed the life of marathon runner Fauji Singh. The world's oldest runner was hit by a speeding car on Monday in Punjab, where the driver fled the scene. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, heading into Bedford View, that's in the Edenville area, slow-moving traffic, R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. Also, Pinoni leaving Brakpan, there's slow-moving traffic on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones. If you are leaving the Joburg CBD heading towards the Rivoli area, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on Main Reef Road. This is between the M2 and Production. Also look out for those faulty traffic lights in Sunning Hill at Witkoppen and Achta, as well as in Alex at Marlborough Drive and Far East Bank. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The lowering of the inflation target. There are some who say this would boost investor confidence. Others are saying it would stifle an already fragile economy.
At an inflation rate of 6%, we will have prices double every 12 years.
Sure.
At an inflation rate of 4.5%, prices double every 16 years. At an inflation rate of 3%, prices double every 12 years.
Lisetja Khanyago.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Proudly South African will be at the 702 Walk the Talk on Sunday, the 27th of July at Freedom Park in Tshwane. Look out for Lolo Warona, their joyful mascot, bringing energy and reminding walkers of the power of local. When you buy South African made goods, you're supporting local industries, incubating local innovation, and creating much needed jobs. As you load that cart or swipe that card, choose local, create change, and show your love for Mzansi with every purchase.
The new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, our thinnest, lightest, and most powerful foldable yet. Open up your world to an ultra-immersive full view of the expansive screen and move effortlessly with its ultra-sleek and ultra-slim design. Pre-order now and double up your storage. 512 gigabytes for the price of 256 gigabytes. Offer valid until 31 July 2025. Join the Unfold Club with the new Galaxy Z Fold 7. T's and C's apply.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Your voice.
Your life.
Your afternoon radio.
On 702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja.
23 minutes to 2 o'clock. It's amazing how we come onto radio imagining a conversation to go a certain way and it goes a completely different way. We've been talking about parents who feel like there's this child that shouldn't be friends with my child. But our caller Pumla, if you've just joined us, shared how she was the child whose parents did not want her hanging out with a child because she was advanced and they came from money. But that other child who she loves dearly exposed her to so many things. So I want to hear from you. Maybe you are also that child. 011 883 0702. The WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Whether you're a parent, whether you're the child, whether you're the parent with an adult child who you're like, I kind of wish that my child was not hanging out with this child, and share with us why. Noah in Pretoria, hi.
Hi, Relebogile. How are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
Good, thanks for a great show as always.
Thank you.
With my take, it's in the family, no? It's like my cousin brother's son, who's like 8 years older than my sister's son. So he was staying with us, and then he wanted to bring girls over. So in our household, we don't condone cohabiting. So he moved out.
Sorry, I didn't miss that. You don't condone?
Cohabiting.
Cohabitation. Okay. And how old was this person?
He was 22, and then
Okay.
the other one was younger than him.
Yes.
So he kept on moving out. So the older one moved out. So after he moved out, the young chap followed him, and then after following him, now they both have kids, because it's something that we told them that would happen. Now we have to help them take care of one another. Now when we talk to him, we tell him that's the reason why we didn't want you to hang around this one. So that's what happened on our side.
Ish. So what does he say now that you have shared to say this is why we didn't want you hanging out with that person?
He's remorseful because now everything's boiling down to us because he's not working. We're the ones that are working. We have to support him. Now he's all regrets. He wishes he could turn back the hands of time. And I said to him, it happened. There's nothing you can do. So because us being adults usually we know what's better. That's why we always tell you guys what not to do. Yeah.
And that's a whole other one now of the cousins that you already know you don't feel comfortable with your child being around or leaving your child with because you know them. Neo, thank you so much for your call. And Divuo in Pretoria, hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
Well, it's good. I'm going to go straight to the point. I think my situation is a little bit different. My son was 2.5, and he was at a preschool nearby, and he had this boy. I can't mention it by name. It was his friend. The boy was his friend, and when I went to pick him up, or the mother picked him up, the other friend used to beat him up, used to push him around and all of that. When you picked him, he always cried and mentioned the boy's name and all of that. At some point, I felt like I would go to that preschool, and if I see that boy, I'm just going to start clapping him or hit his bum and tell him that's not how things are done. But here is the thing. Every single time we asked my son, you're going to have a party or invite people and whatever, the first name was the boy who used to trouble him up a lot of time at school. Even on the other side, the parents, when they needed to do something for their son and whatever, the first call was to us to say, you cannot have anything that we're going to do without your son there. So I was trying to balance in between either the bullying or the growing up and the shoving and the playing with the friendship. We kept on going, but I just want to affirm the previous lady that you mentioned by name, I forgot, that sometimes we do not listen. We are so caught up into the areas wherein it's so bad for your child and it does not make them what they are supposed to be because we've got our own rules and our own cocoons. I had it, and then they are not friends anymore, but I can tell you, if there was a friendship when my son was that old, that I know that I valued, was the boy who clapped my son so much and who had the greatest fun.
Thank you so much, Ndibuo from Pretoria, for your call. Humphrey in Soweto, go ahead.
Hey, how are you, my sister?
Good, and you?
Yes, you're speaking to Humphrey man from Soweto. Yeah, but initially I grew up in Orange Farm.
Okay,
I had this situation. I had actually Kulawaman. I'm from the house where there's a church. I grew up in Orange Farm that time. that time it was very bad in terms of crime. So my both parents, my father and my mother, I had those friends who were older than people than me. They were criminals, sure, stealing cars and doing those things. But my parents didn't want me to associate with them. So it was a little challenge for me. But even though it happened, my parents passed away, both of them. Those guys, they're the one who helped me in terms of school and other things, whereby I finished matric. They even paying for me for colleges, some fees. What happened now, on later stages, we managed to depart. I had to grow up and have a family. What happened now, one day when I passed in Joburg, I saw two of them. Now they're living on streets and they're old now. I said, my parents were right, but these people, they've helped me. Sometimes parents are becoming right. It's only you, a person, to take a decision, not I'm taking a right to those people. Sometimes you need to trust the parents when they about even though they don't know what is going to happen behind them. I'm the man today who's very responsible, who's afraid of crime, who doesn't hurt any person because I've learned from those guys. But initially what I'm doing, every time I'm working for public sector, every time when I'm anyone assisting, I try to keep those guys, I try to allocate them where they and give them the 10% of my salary. Thank you.
Yo, Humphrey, thank you so much. Look, and in fairness to the parents are not always going to get it right. They really are not. I choose to believe that majority of parents are doing the best that they can at the time with what they have. And what they have includes everything, including where they are psychologically and mentally. Thabo in Jozi, hi.
Hi, everyone. I wanted to be on both sides of the sphere, on the child and also on the parent side. In terms of, I'll start off on the child side. On the child side, as one of being a child and experience both sides of the world, bad and good. I've had friends, and I still have friends who are bad, and I still have friends who are good. That helps me a lot because I had to experience the world on both sides, so I could be equipped with the skills to survive on the street of Johannesburg and the townships of South Africa, and also have the skills from the good friends to survive in the corporate world of South Africa and participate in a good as a good citizen of South Africa. So there is a balance, which as children that we know our strengths, we know our direction, but as parents sometimes it's difficult from an African child to communicate to an African parent to say, look, I don't want to be an engineer, I want to be a soccer player. But due to our parents' fears or experiences from society, it can even be them, they tend to make parenthood a certain set of norms that if it's not done this way, if you don't listen to me, I won't give you what you want. If you don't give me this certain achievement goals, then financially, because I'm supporting you, that's the only monetary thing that is keeping you in their house at that moment. They are going to blackmail you in those sense of you're not getting this, you're grounded, you're doing that, but not listening to the child attentively and saying, oh, the child wants to be a soccer player. Let's invest in soccer and also invest in education, because soccer is a 15-year career. It might be, it might not be. But what is the back for? What is the second option? Second option could be the parents' option to say, okay, let's take on education also, and make sure that the child invests equally in both goals, his goals and also the goals of the parents. For example,
so Thabo, just in the interest of time, because I think you are raising something very interesting that maybe we can touch on in our parenting and parents feature, is the other side of this conversation is the fact that there are children who your parents wish you could be more like when they do the comparison thing, right? But why can't you be more like Abel? Abel Wapasa. His respect, like there's the other side of that. I want to quickly play one or two of your voice notes on 072-702-1702.
Sweetie darling, you don't even understand. My stepson is 17, going on 18. He's going to be 18 in September. He's dating this girl, and I said to him the other day, I'm so worried. And I sound like the overprotective stepmother and the horrid witch from the West and all the rest of it. But you know what? I'm so worried about this child and this girl. She's got such a bad black aura about her. And I know people are going to laugh at me and say, oh, come on. You know what? You can't be 15 and everything is wrong in your life. Something has to be good. Even if it's my stepson. Seriously. I don't understand how people are that way, but that's a different story. But anyway, I just think that there's lots of people whose influence I definitely don't want in my child or my stepson or my grandson's life for that matter.
Yes, hello, Relebogile, 702 Tyron Randburg. With regards to this topic, there's a basic principle that you can apply across all scopes of life. It's in the book of Corinthians. It says, do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals. If you want to have another saying that other people may relate to, birds of a feather flock together. So obviously, if you apply that principle to your life and your kids' life, it's going to hold them in good stead. Tyron Randburg.
Hi, ribs. Hi. Mine one is trick ribs. I used to have a child which I was stepfathering. So that child is paid child, 8-year child, but my child is just 1 year, 3 months. So I decided to cancel or to quit my marriage with the mother, both of that child. And my child now is a brother to that child. Ribs. Mine one is a painful one. I love my child, but this child of this mother.
Relebogile, let me tell you a story. When I was younger, I grew up in the south. I'm not going to say where because if the guys are listening, they'll know exactly who they are. But I had two very good friends, and we'd been friends forever since we were kids. This was a long time ago, and they were always like a bit of trouble. I started smoking with them and like kissing girls and all that type of thing. But when I was about 12 or 13 years old, my own friends broke into my house and stole all of our stuff. Money, books, toys, like all of those things. And clearly, I was never allowed to see those guys again. But yeah, that was the friends that I wasn't allowed to play with ever again in my life. Beware of those around you.
Who needs enemies when you have friends? Okay, so many of your messages we didn't get through. We're going to keep them and we'll bring an expert in and have it for parenting and parents feature. Yeah?
This week on Polytricking with Sidi Madia.
We're a country that just watched one police commissioner make a slew of allegations against other police officials, including even ministers.
Look, it was quite shocking. And we've got an investigative methodology, and I think it's basically the principles of law of saying what happened, what should have happened, if there's a discrepancy in what have happened, what has been reported, how should that be remedied? So, and what happened is not just a one-sided story, is getting the version of everybody else. So I think really at this stage as a country, it's to allow due process to take its course. And at the end, the truth will come out.
Advocate Kalega.
Listen to the full episode on primemediaplus.com. Polytricking with Sidi Madia on EWN. In touch, in tune, and independent.
Do not be fooled. Smoking kills. Across the globe, more than 8 million people die of tobacco-related diseases every year. During the broadcast of this radio advert, which is only 60 seconds, 16 people would have died from tobacco. Quit smoking and vaping. If you cannot resist this lethal habit, please protect non-smokers and children. Do not smoke or vape in public places or near children. Inhaling any tobacco product, whether through smoking or vaping, can cause cancer, birth defects, heart, lung, and oral diseases. All tobacco and related products are harmful to your health. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Health.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult at 3,469. Just had a fantastic 2-hour meeting. It was so productive. that we accomplished nearly as much as I could have done with one well-written email.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
And they're off. Little too young, barely two, racing injured. Here comes whipped into shape, running on pain. Duct tape dreams on the outside, tongue-tied and terrified. And now discarded glory, limping to avoid the glue truck. It's beaten again, crop flying, lungs bleeding. And it's doped up glory, gets it by a nose. Now that's racing.
Cruelty is staining horse racing. The NSPCA is calling for the industry to sign their racing code of conduct. Show your support at nspca.co.za/rein in the pain.
702 Finance Feature.
6 minutes to 2 o'clock in our finance feature for today. We're talking about fixing a bad credit score with your calls and questions. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702 as we chat to Luca Folpini, Holistic Financial Advisor. Luca, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Luca, let's jump straight into it. What is a bad credit score? What figure is it that you start to say, yeah, this is not good?
So I think you have to take perspective into account. So if someone doesn't have any credit, their score is going to be less than 0. You would think that's bad. But obviously, if you don't have a credit history, then you don't have a credit score. So what you need to do is when you check on an online system for what your score is, I think you need to compare it to they will give different classes of people in your area and then other similarities. But essentially, anytime we below that mark of about 500, that's when we start to worry.
Okay, and then what is a great credit score? Because if below 500 is worry time, what is like perfect credit? And I'm so glad that you were also clarifying that you could be sitting with lots of money and you've been operating on a cash life, but then the day you do want credit, even if it's like a very low amount a month, the fact that you don't have a record means that you are probably around 0.
100%. In fact, when you actually start off, you'll see that your credit score will be -1 if you don't have any history in the past. But if we're looking at what would a good credit score be, as I previously stated, you'll compare it to the average for people that live in your area, the average for the country. But usually once you above 600, 650, getting towards the 700s and 800s, that's when you're in a very good position. It obviously depends on what sort of debt you have at the moment. That will also strengthen your score, and you can look more deeply into the figures once you've analyzed all of that.
Okay, so now a person realizes they don't have a good credit score. Where should they begin after they've now found out, okay, this is where I'm at, and they've already gone to go and look at their credit report to maybe see what the status is on certain of the issues? What should they do?
So I think the first thing, obviously, you got to look at why do you have a bad credit score. So that will usually be due to late or missed payments if you defaulted on your credit. So if you got to the point where you had a certain date to pay and you've missed that, it could also be due to some legal judgments that have done, or if you're using too much credit, that will drop your score. So the best ways to try to fix this is to obviously pay on time and therefore also reduce the balances that you have. The main part of your credit score, and I think this is where people will sometimes get it wrong, is they think if I take credits and pay, it's going to make me look good. But what they are actually looking at is how much of the credit you use. So if you are given, whether it's a clothing account, your credit card, you are given a credit limit. Once you've started using more than 30% of that limit, that's when you'll start being flagged, if we can say. And that's when the credit agents will now say, okay, this person is using quite a lot of their credit. It must mean that they're in a bit of a poor situation. So that's when your scores start getting down. So those are the things to try do to keep your score in a safe place and going up. Another thing that gets overlooked is if you are no longer using a certain credit account, don't close that account, because then if you close that, it also kills all the previous history that you had. And then when you try to apply for new credit, you're not going to have that history that they can look back on. So even if you're not using it, keep the account open. Also, stop applying for new credit when you don't actually need it. I think people do this because they often see, these new accounts come with different specials, different vouchers, things like that. And then also sometimes there are mistakes. If you believe that you have been unjustly scored, you can take this up with the credit bureau directly as well.
Okay, questions coming through on the WhatsApp line. Somebody says, please, can you ask your guest why checking your credit score regularly actually affects your credit score?
So I'm not 100% sure if I understood their question properly, but I'll try and answer it the best way. So
Are they not maybe referring to the fact that if you apply for something and other people come to check, are they not referring to that one where they check your credit score?
Yes, that's what I thought that they were saying. So obviously, if you go look online, that's not going to affect anything. But that's why I said if you apply for credit when you don't necessarily need it, it can hurt you in the short term, because at the end of the day, you are now applying for more debt. Essentially, that's what it means when you apply for credit. So whenever there are inquiries made against your name, it will affect your record. Now, we must always remember these things do take time. So whether it's decreasing your score or increasing it, it will take a couple months before you start to see a change. So you have to take that into account as well. And then that's also a bit of the catch-22. When you're trying to build your credit score, you obviously need to get credit to do that. But by taking out credit, you do, first of all, hurt your record a little bit. But once you've proven that you can pay on time, you don't default, that's when you start to see the rewards.
Okay, we are definitely going to get you back, Lupa, so that we can just talk about the part of the rebuilding of the credit score, where a person can start if they already know they're in a bad place, and some of the questions we didn't get to address as well. But thank you so much for your time. In the next hour of the show, we have our masterclass. It's 2:00.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Khomzo Modise. The Eastern Cape government says it will need an estimated 88 million rand to repair hospitals and clinics damaged by the recent floods. The Cooperative Governance Department in the province has confirmed that 63 facilities were damaged by inclement weather. This comes exactly 36 days after raging floods ripped through the Alfred Nzo, Chris Hani, Joe Gabi and Sarah Bartman municipalities, with the OR Tambo and Amatole districts being the hardest hit. Lambata reports.
Cooperative Governance MEC Zolile Williams provided an update on disaster response management and recovery operations today in Mthatha. He says the estimated amount to deal with overall damage to all infrastructure in the province stands at 5 billion rand. This as homes, roads, bridges, school and healthcare facilities were completely destroyed. COGTA MEC Zolile Khumalo says health facilities were some of the worst affected buildings.
And repairs will cost approximately 88 million. And immediate repairs have commenced in some of the affected health facilities, and primary health care has continued to reach the most affected communities.
Khumalo says technical teams have now concluded the assessment and verification of damage to infrastructure across the province. Jabulile Mbata, Eyewitness News.
President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver his budget vote address in Parliament this afternoon amid calls for him to resign. It's expected the address will be dominated by recent decisions the president has taken involving compromised cabinet ministers. Several opposition parties have questioned Ramaphosa's recent decision to place Police Minister Senzo Mchunu on special leave and appoint an acting minister, while the Umkhonto Wesizwe party wants Ramaphosa to quit by Friday or face a motion of no confidence. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
6 hours have been set aside for today's National Assembly debate on the presidency. With a relatively small budget when compared to most government departments, President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to tell the House what the key priorities of his presidency are for the coming financial year. But with opposition parties outraged by Ramaphosa's Sunday announcement to establish another commission of inquiry, this time into the police, and to place Police Minister Senzo Mchunu on special leave, it's the use of his presidential prerogatives that are sure to come under intense scrutiny in the House. Today, the EFF sent the President a lawyer's letter asking him to clarify his actions, while the MK party has done the same, calling for him to quit or it will mobilize civil society against him. Yesterday, opposition parties bemoaned the time taken by Parliament's Rules Committee to establish a committee on the presidency to ensure better year-round oversight of this budget vote. The President will return to the House tomorrow to respond to this afternoon's debate. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
EFF leader Julius Malema has urged the public to take by-elections seriously as they are at the foundation of service delivery. Malema is back in his hometown of Seshego in Limpopo, where he cast his vote in a by-election today. Residents of the Polokwane municipality's Ward 13 are voting for a new councillor. This round of votes was prompted by the expulsion of EFF councillor Mafiwa Leballo, who failed to attend meetings. Thabiso Koba is there.
EFF leader Julius Malema was warmly welcomed by his party's supporters in his hometown. Malema has been in Seshego over the past couple of days, campaigning for the EFF's councillor candidates. He says keeping Ward 13 under the EFF is both personal and political for him.
We are here to encourage our people to take by-elections very serious because the turnout around by-elections is very low, and it is precisely because maybe the leadership is not fully participating when it comes to the by-elections. So I thought it was important for me to come and show the significance of by-elections and why all of us should take an active part.
Results for the by-elections are expected at around midnight. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Polokwane.
14 suspects have been arrested in connection to an illegal marijuana plantation in the Springfield area north of KZN. The arrests were made during a multidisciplinary law enforcement operation this morning. Police say the farm where the dacha was being cultivated was disguised as a vegetable farm. Police spokesperson Ntathu Ndlovu says the suspects will make their first appearance in court soon.
During the operation, 14 suspects were arrested and 10 of them were foreign nationals. Parts of the South African National Defence Force uniform, machetes, and processed cannabis was found in the possession of the suspects.
And police in India have arrested a suspect in connection with the hit-and-run incident which claimed the life of marathon runner Fauji Singh. The world's oldest runner was hit by a speeding car on Monday in Punjab, where the driver fled the scene. In 2011, Singh became the first person over the age of 100 to finish a full marathon. He also carried the Olympic torch at the 2012 London Olympics. Gold trading at $3,334.12 an ounce. The rand's at 17.92 to the dollar, 24.02 to the pound, and 20.82 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.71 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, free-flowing traffic across 702 land. No serious accidents have been reported on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights, though, in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek. In Randburg, traffic lights not working at Malibongo Drive and Mahogany, as well as in Sunning Hill at Witkoppen and Achta.
It's a partly cloudy day in Gauteng. Temperatures peaked at highs between 21 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the Eastern Cape government says it will need an estimated 88 million rand to repair hospitals and clinics damaged by the recent floods.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Your stories,
your questions.
702 listens. You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 702 afternoons. With me, Relebogile Mabotja, we're jumping into a masterclass together with Decorex, chatting about future living and design trends and also what you can expect at Decorex Africa, Decorex Joburg this year. So get in touch with us. Give us a call, 011 8830702. SMS us 31702. tweet at Relebogile M at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702
Masterclass.
This masterclass with me, Relebogile Mabotja, is brought to you by Decorex Joburg, Africa's premier decor and design expo. It'll be such a treat. Make sure you go. And we are joined today by a few people as we talk about future living and design trends. We had started touching on it already, but we are continuing. We'll also touch on what we can expect at this year's Decorex Joburg. And today we're joined again by Alan Hayward and Gareth van Niekerk, Executive Creative Directors at Decorex, as well as Elsa Wessels, Curator, Artist and Design Educator at Greenside Design Center. Your calls on 011 883 0702 in the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Gents, welcome back. You clearly can't get enough of me.
It's good to be back.
We definitely can't get enough of you.
I'm so happy that you are back. And Elsa Wessels, welcome to the club.
Yay, thank you. Hi, happy to be here.
I'm so glad that you're joining us. I'm going to kick off with you, Elsa, as the new kid on the block in this masterclass. I'm curious for you with how the design trends have really started changing. I'm curious about your personal style and what, being a curator, an artist and a design educator. I don't think you are, the typical client that one would deal with if somebody had to come in and do up your home. But how has your style evolved? And maybe talk to us from what you grew up with as a child. Like I was saying to the gents last week, how this, minimalism has a cold feeling for me. Like you need some clutter and some 3 broken kettles and a broken iron in the house to make it feel homey. But I'm curious for you, what has that, evolution been like for you?
Sure, that's such a great question. And wow, and so intimate and so personal and so beautiful. And I think I'm very much on your channel of like eclectic resourcefulness of what is around me, what is often discarded and not valued, is really beautiful to me. And I think also in regards to what we're doing for future talks, it's really about what's available, what is sustainable, what is in like an aspect of community, also what is available through collaboration, and also building with a multitude of different parts. My personal style, really, if you come and visit me, is also I'm building constantly in my spaces with what's available and trying to find interesting ways of intersecting different materials with each other. And often it finds itself reduced and distilled in really interesting ways. But yeah, I'm very much fascinated in what's possible and very much also fascinated in typical materials that aren't valued in like the ways that they usually are valued, I suppose. And yeah, making and creating and color and just a lot of texture and a lot of life. And a lot of, I think what you also see at the Future Talks is like textiles and foams and bricks and how different softnesses and hardnesses can also speak to each other and create really fun spaces that are quite childlike. And also, I guess, really moving away from thinking that spaces have to be fixed in one in particular way. Like they are playful things that we can create and are all agents in creating. Yeah.
I actually, yeah. So while there's this beautiful, I would say the kind of common aesthetic that we see all over social media, where you either are going to have the brass fittings or it's going to be black and the clean walls. Everybody now we know what herringbone is and backsplash or splashback, I think we call it in South Africa. And I have moments where I look at all these all cream aesthetics and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just can't because I have a child, but also it just feels cold. But then the opposite, like the contrast, are those artsy-fartsy individuals who have the chandelier that's an upside down cake, and then the rug is in the shape of a fried egg, and then and I'm curious if you are that level of artsy fartsy where things are constantly changing. I have friends who are both art directors. Every other week they are changing something in their home, repainting. They get bored quickly, and I just so admire them for being keen on doing that.
Sure. I mean, I think I am also very much the same. My space is always changing, but it's always in this kind of direction towards finding what I think to be the most pragmatic, actually. Like, I want everything to be in its right place. I want the sun to hit my mirror in a particular way so that it will reflect in the wall in a particular way, this particular plant in a specific way. So as much as there's this playful, eclectic mixing and discovering of a lot of materials, which I love in terms of the process, it is also eventually coming down to making it work where it is. And that relation to context, I think, is why a lot of designers will keep moving something, because the world is moving constantly, and it's part of the curious investigation of learning from our environments and letting them teach us also, and reflecting that lesson. And I think I'll also be changing things, but I definitely reach a point where I'm like, okay, it is now in the right place. And that's great until we move again.
So you're not trying to turn your tap into a hand that your guest must shake for it to
Yeah, no, I guess I'm not on that level. But I'm always trying to create spaces that feel at home and feel like a living organism also, to not kind of like distill life to such a minimalist way, like you say, and millennial gray it, but just actually celebrate life through spaces. And I think that's why I do resonate with your designer friends who keep changing things. I love that. But I also think, there's a level of, for me, that it's like, okay, but also it needs to speak to other people, so especially in the Future Talks public space. Even working with students, there's a lot of questions about why we use certain materials and why this shape and why this color. And it also, you sort of have to learn how to distill it and make it connect to other people also. So yeah, it's fun, but also really just resonates and makes people feel at home in your space and in their own skin.
Okay, Ellen and Gareth, I'm going to ask you both the same question, but I'll start with you, Ellen. At what point are you willing to sacrifice functionality for the artist in you and the design part? There are certain pieces of furniture that I've seen that are absolutely beautiful. I'll use an example. There was one that a designer basically used to do these like line drawing scribbles, and then he decided to print it. And they are functional in the sense that you can sit on it, but not functional like, it's this thing that it becomes an odd piece in your home. So, Ellen, from your side, how much are you willing to sacrifice? Are there pieces in your home that should be functional, but you've chosen, nope, that's art?
I think it's maybe a little bit of a mix of both. I think it depends on how big your space is. Obviously, if you've got a 30 square meter apartment, everything needs to be pretty functional. You can't have a chair that looks beautiful that you don't want to sit in. But if you have a little bit more space, I think there are moments in your home that can be whimsical and kind of talk about your travels and the places that you've been, and maybe you have an artist friend who makes a weird mirror that goes on your wall. So I think that there are moments where these things can work, but there are definitely pieces like couches and dining room tables and stuff that I think you want them to be pretty functional, because at the end of the day you want to have people over, or you want to be relaxing on those pieces of furniture. So I think it's a bit of both, and I think that's what creates an interesting space. A weird chair that you got from Bali that is very hard and very beautiful will probably be fine in the space, but I don't think you could have a whole house of that.
And from you, Gareth?
Look, we don't have kids, so I think we can be pretty experimental. I think we have this one thing that we keep on doing and keep on, I suppose, making the same mistake. We bought a white couch, which I think is always super controversial. Because
Why is the white couch controversial?
because it is probably the most impractical piece of furniture a person can own. There is no amount of prep and I suppose forewarning that you can give your guests to make them not spill the contents of their handbags or their drinks or their food onto your couch. But honestly, I do not care. It is just the most beautiful thing. It looks amazing in any space. And I would rather clean it up every time something like this happens than compromise on a couch that is not so beautiful. So we keep on making the same mistake over and over. But I think, like Ilse and Alan have said, I think your space is meant to be a reflection of you. And I'm not sometimes the most practical person, but I do 100% believe in just choosing the most beautiful thing you can get and that you can afford and that you can design and imagine and putting that into your house, even if sometimes it doesn't make 100% sense.
That the white couch theory just makes me think about, and let's even assume I didn't have a child, right? It's just a home where there are adults and everyone's careful. I see it as me wearing a white dress to an event, which I've done before. And the rule was I don't eat and I only drink clear drinks, which was G&T. Like, it just sounds high maintenance. I drink my coffee black and we drink red wine. Oh, it would be so stressful, so stressful.
It's fine to be a high maintenance babe.
I absolutely love that. So when we then think, Alan, in terms of where we are with what we have access to as South Africans, we are so exposed now with social media, not just with the type of designers, but even the custom pieces that can be made. I mean, I have seen in the US, they have, what do they call the Texas King bed? Like, they've got Super Texas and the Texas something where you could fit probably 12 adults, as an example. And you can make these custom couch that do all these crazy things. Have you noticed or seen anything, Ellen, I'll start with you, that you have seen abroad that we wish we were at that level in South Africa with manufacturing, where you don't have to order and pay US dollars and wait 3 years for delivery?
Look, I think that a lot of homegrown manufacturers are doing a lot of personalization in terms of the colors, the woods you use, the kind of materials, if you want to sit in, ashwood or beechwood, or so you're seeing that a lot of people that are obviously manufacturing locally, and you'll see that in the 100% design floor that there will be pretty much no stop to what you could do. And then on the other hand, things that are imported obviously are less likely to be, have lots of options to them. But then the third thing is that there are a lot of, vintage couches and, different kind of pieces of furniture that can definitely be refurbished. And we have like a host of incredible fabric and materials places in Johannesburg in South Africa that will help you, give new life to something. So, the feeling for me is that, I don't think that you should ever accept that the thing that you see on Pinterest couldn't be in your home. I think sometimes it just takes a little bit of imagination to go, I see this messed up sofa, and if I just go look around on Primeval on a Saturday, I could eventually get something pretty close to, the thing that I am lusting after.
Gareth, and for you?
I think customizing is sometimes just the most fun thing to do. I mean, those Texas, I think sometimes I think I've heard them called, like, it's not a king bed, it's like an emperor bed.
What? Emperor? I'm looking immediately. Because I've never heard of this one.
If you want to sleep in your bed with 12 people, also you can. But I think I think you should absolutely look. I think the best part about Decorex is that you'll walk around and connect with a person who can customize your bed for you and build you something crazy and whatever you want. And the whole point of Decorex is that you don't have to import and you don't have to only Pinterest. It all comes alive right in front of you, and then often the makers are on their stands, and you can get their business card, you can get their details, and actually get them to make the things that you want.
Same question to you, Ilse. What have you seen that you wish was just more common in South Africa and more accessible?
I am definitely a person, like, if I see it, I try make it myself. So I think that for me is what I would love to see more of, how people can relate back to their local manufacturers and not feel like there's this like wall between you and the manufacturer, and that there was maybe more intersections between the factory and the consumer. So yeah, my set of skills, I can do it. I can build my own things. And so again, Future Talks is an opportunity to show how we can build our own furniture and we can make our own elements, and hopefully also for the public as a way to say, oh, I can make that too. That's just a steel angle and that's just a rebar rod I can buy at Builder's Warehouse or something like that, you know? So that's really something also that we try to teach for the students. It's like, go to your local shop and see what you can assemble and construct with the elements that are surrounding you, what's in the neighborhood. So yeah, I'm more of an elemental person in that way, like, so that we can construct, and I love to see the interesting ways in which different parts come together. So that's what I wish there were more of, these kind of build it yourself DIY vibes.
So if you were to advise all of the listeners of one or two of the most basic skills that they could take on to be able, not necessarily to be able to create things for themselves, but to maybe have bigger visions with what they can do in their spaces because they've taken on certain skills. I've seen a few people doing quite well with DIY and with, companies like your Builders and your Leroy Merlins and all of those. It's becoming more of a thing where people are really exploring that space.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here and just say that, like, we've got things this year, like we have a whole DIY studio with Prime Star where you can learn to drill and you can seal and you can flip furniture. And then we also have a tufting studio where you can learn to make your own rug, which is super fun. And then we also have a beautiful partnership with Create Cafe where you can learn to paint your own ceramics. So there's lots of those sorts of cool things this year where you can really get hands-on and also upskill yourself. Like Ilse says, there's nothing so magical as seeing something and making it yourself. And we're really trying to empower everybody that comes to Decorex this year with the skills to do that.
In terms then, and I'm not sure if this is for you, Alan or Gareth, in terms of, and we touched on it last week, the refurbishment. That's also quite a big space where people are sitting with gems of pieces that they want to keep. And it's not always like it's a gem because it's some solid antique. Sometimes it's something you're keeping for sentimental value. I mean, I still have the couch that was in my parents' home from when I was 7 years old, and I've recovered it twice. But the one thing I know I've struggled with is getting the type of people that can properly, like that workmanship, that long-term thing of it being redone. So are there going to be a variety of spaces where you're not just going in to see how to refurbish, but you also can have access to those type of suppliers that can recommend and have access, like you said, to different types of textiles and not just the stock standard swatch book that they show you?
I think you're bringing up an interesting point here. And, as part of sustainability in, our homes and, the furniture space, quality is something that we as Decorex really stand behind. And when you buy a piece of furniture that's a quality piece, that piece of furniture can be redone for the next 50 or 100 years. There will be lots of different businesses at Decorex, people dealing with wood, people dealing with sealants, people dealing with sandblasting, printing, fabric printing. So I feel like, it's basically Decorex is kind of like your design partner. You come with your ideas of the things that you want to refurbish or do, and there's plenty of expert advice all around Decorex, whether it's from some of our makers that are making furniture themselves, getting some tips from them. But also we hope that this inspires, the public out there to maybe make some of some designs themselves, and maybe we'll see them featured at Decorex next year.
Ilse, what are some of your thoughts on the refurbishing, not just the market, but just the concept in general?
I definitely think it's one of the most important concepts regarding sustainable thinking and using existing spaces. And again, I think it links back to that concept of things that have this kind of discarded value perception. Like, oh, what could it be? We don't know yet. How do I make it worth or like mean more to the current context also? And I think it's a really big trend also about not just refurbing, but rethinking how the past spaces existed and how they become future-proofed. So I think it's really, for me, really one of the interesting concepts that we're dealing with constantly. And personally, I just think it's a wonderful concept to carry forward through all the spaces that we have in South Africa. And I love that Decorex has all these components to play with. And I guess, and to answer your other question, is like, come with your vision, come with your dimensions and your tape measures, and speak to people about your dreams, because that is how we're going to make them realize, like, through the conversation that you have about that foundational dream. So yeah, I love refurbs.
I can tell. I can definitely tell that you love refurbs, and it's something that I think many people are super keen on, especially when it comes to these pieces that have sat in homes that you kind of like, I want to do something with this, but I'm not sure what to do with it. When we come back from the news, I'm actually going to ask the panel some of the questions that have come through on the WhatsApp line, and I also want to find out around those of you that grew up in the hood, in the township, there's certain furniture pieces that we referred to as sideboard and room divider. What are we supposed to do with those furniture pieces? What do we do with them? How do we refurb them and make them a part of our homes? It's 2:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Lebo. Good afternoon. The ANC in Gauteng wants law enforcement to crack down on drug cartels allegedly operating in the province. The call follows allegations by KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, who alleges that Gauteng is at the center of a massive drug syndicate involving politicians and business people. Advocacy group Section 27 has welcomed a judgment ordering the restoration of water supply to the Children's Memorial Institute in Johannesburg. Last month, the city cut supply to the building, which houses more than 20 non-profit organizations, some of which provided services to special needs children. The water cut was cut off less than 24 hours after the city issued a warning over alleged non-compliance with bylaws. And a Thai woman has been arrested for using over 86,000 explicit videos of her relations with monks to extort them. The woman, only known as Miss Golf, is linked to sexual relationships with at least 13 senior monks. The woman is facing charges including extortion, money laundering, and receiving stolen goods. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
In Linwood, there's a serious accident scene. This is on the N1 southbound before the Linwood off-ramp, causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from the Proof Plus interchange. Also leaving the Pretoria CBD. Slow-moving traffic on Eskiam Pahlele between Van der Hof and the R80. Otherwise, Joburg not looking too bad. No serious accidents on our highways here, and no major delays also reported. Otherwise, just look out for those faulty traffic lights in the Midrand area, Olifantsfontein Road and the N1. Traffic lights also not working in the Bryanston area, Winnie Mandela Drive and Sloan, as well as in Alex at Marlborough Drive and Far East Bank. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hey, honey, look. Went to the shops, like you asked, and it was the Deco Fern birthday sale. Picked up this amazing 3-seater sofa for only $5,599. And this coffee table, just $489. Oh, and this gorgeous standing mirror for like $699.
Wow, I just asked you to get some more.
Get deals worth celebrating at Deco Furniture's epic birthday sale with 10 to 40% and more off everything in-store or online now at decofurnsa.co.za.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult at 3,469. Just had a fantastic 2-hour meeting. It was so productive that we accomplished nearly as much as I could have done with one well-written email.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive with John Perlman will be coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. But keep those messages coming through as we continue with our masterclass around design issues and our masterclass just with regards to future living and design trends. Your questions on 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702
Masterclass.
And it is 27 minutes to 3 o'clock. We continue with our masterclass as we talk about future living and design trends. This is what we're doing for the month together with Decorex Johannesburg. We're joined by Alan Hayward and Gareth van Niekerk, who are executive creative directors at Decorex, as well as Ilse Wessels, curator, artist, and design educator at Greenside Design Center. And we take your calls on 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. So now, in terms, Alan, I don't know if I say to you room divider. In your mind, you imagine room divider as something that is dividing a room, but that's not what we grew up with in the township.
So what is a room divider to you?
Yeah, I'm going to explain what a room divider is. Okay, so you know those cabinets, right? Okay, so when we were growing up, what they would do is, and they're still in many people's homes, it's like a cabinet or a display cabinet, right? Which sometimes can have like glass things, and then all the fancy dinnerware that you are only made for visitors stayed there. Now, I'm assuming that back in the day, because it was a 4-room house, it was called a room divider because your living space was so close. But the way it actually was is that it would literally be against the wall. So some people you could put a TV in it. Some people it was just on the side, and it was usually filled with the tea sets and the things that the kids, we're not allowed to use until visitors are there. I don't know, Ilse, if you've ever heard of room divider.
It's making me think about my grand's house. She had one also at the
That's
entrance.
it!
It would make a corridor. Yeah, I shout out to my grand.
What did you call it?
You know what? I actually it was like a big cabinet, and I don't think we ever called it a room divider, but it was definitely always the tool for dividing the room so that the living room became a dining room and a corridor. And yeah, and I think even as a kid, I used to have this massive shelf in my room that could assemble and disassemble, and I would reconstruct it and switch it around to create different spaces. So, I mean, I think I understand that is the best kind of room divider, in fact.
So, Alan and Gareth, do you now understand what a room divider is?
With you.
Got it.
So what would you advise then? Let me start with you, Alan. What would you advise that those pieces that are not as functional as what they used to be, but we want to still keep, that we do with them? I've seen people do very interesting things with certain pieces of furniture that are very outdated, and they want more openness in their spaces. Like now people prefer open shelves. And if I look at the WhatsApp line, there's a person who says, Relebogile, I converted the one part of the room divider into a wine cellar. The top part of it is a champagne holder. That is so clever. That is
Fabulous.
Brilliant. So
she needs to send a picture of that.
Yes.
Please tag Decorex and
Wow.
702.
So that means that they probably took the doors off. But Alan, let me know what you would do with a room divider.
I mean, this is the incredible thing about, reimagining your space, especially for what you've done. I mean, I know my grandparents had kind of drinks cabinet in their house, but I don't think they ever drank a drop of alcohol in their lives. So I'm not sure why they had it full of glasses. But I think that there's so many different products that come out as new products, different kind of paints and different kind of finishes. So I really think that really the sky's the limit. Get a kind of piece of furniture that you saw from somewhere, and then try and work it into your space and into your lives. I don't think that because a piece of furniture was one thing that it always necessarily needs to be. It could have been something that had glassware, but it could end up in your office, holding your papers and your bits and pieces, or like you said, your TV. So I think that furniture can be like kind of reimagined, and I think it's really up to you to just have a vision for it, and ask some expert advice, or possibly look on YouTube is also a good resource for that. And in the end, I think you can come up with something really beautiful and thoughtful.
Gareth?
This one of my favorite floors at Decorex, and everybody's favorite floor, is 100% design. And it's quite like multi-generational in terms of how designers are thinking. So we've got like young designers who I think grew up with a room divider, and they really have reimagined it into what a display cabinet could mean, in much the same way as something that was built to hold teacups and fine china and those things is now something, or became something in your lifetime that was meant for a TV. And so the kind of I suppose there's like designers like Tabisa Mjo and Umpo Vakia from the Urban Native, and other really exciting designers who are looking at how the way we've lived has changed, and taking pieces like we all grew up with, ball and claw, or maybe some other things that we really don't like, and going, what can we do to make it cool and fresh, and something that we've got in our spaces today that we love and also want to pass down to our kids. So I think I get what the room divider is, but also kind of imagine what the room divider could become as our spaces change, and as our tastes change, and as the way we live really needs to start evolving.
There's another person who says, Relebogile, I've seen the room divider being used as a luxury bar display focal point of a room. So Ilse, being the artist in this conversation, where should the special tea sets and the special dinnerware be staying? Some people actually use those things as display. I don't know if you've had an opportunity, Ilse, to see Kris Kardashian, or Kris Jenner rather. She has a walk-in display room for all her fine china. Now we know that is like high level, excessive levels of rich, but that is what she collects. And you can walk in and look at it like it is art, but then it also becomes functional.
Wow. I have not seen it. Damn. I'll check it out.
You must Google it. Ellen and Gareth as well. You must check it out. It is insane.
Yeah, wow.
But you are obsessed with the Kardashians. I'm just going to say that you love the Kardashians. Let's just put it out.
Look, I will say they're the ones who show the most of their houses as often as they do. So even with the Architectural Digest, where you want to sort of get an idea of the aesthetics and the design and the sense of style, maybe John Legend and Chrissy Teigen as well, but they show their spaces. So it's always interesting to see, oh, wow, you guys have a fridge that has greenery on display only. So if more people did, I would love to see. And you guys can WhatsApp if you say, check out this person's things on how they display or their decor in their homes. But yes, Ilse, you were saying.
For me, I'm just like, show it. It's beautiful things need to be seen, and I just think the room divider, as it's been described, is this cabinet, right, of displaying things. But I love to display things in a way that doesn't make it feel like it's going to break, like it's some sort of museum artifact. It's also something that we can put out and have constant cups of tea with, or, maybe just put it out everywhere and make it accessible. I used to have this wonderful kitchen where there'd be these little hooks within the kitchen cabinet itself to hang like very small trinkets or cups and things like that. So I think finding interesting ways to display things, but also I don't kind of like this idea of putting it behind a glass cabinet, make it accessible. It depends, I guess, from person to person, but I like to bring the art into this line of sight. And I think, again, it's so beautiful to hear Gareth speak about the 100% space. And that's a space that also just like shows you here is a big room divider, in fact, filled with art, filled with color, things attached in different ways, and finding ways in which to do that, I think, is very exciting. And and I love this context also, speaking to heritage and how can we celebrate heritage of the past into the present. Maybe also thinking about different things. Maybe the teacup should be outside and we can hang some sort of found objects instead. So I'm curious to see what people are. I'm just curious to go see what the Kardashians are up to again.
While you're there, Ilse, you must check out Chloe's kitchen. She has a wall of chopping boards that she, instead of keeping the chopping boards like behind something or in a cupboard, she actually displays the chopping boards. So clever things. I want your feedback. There's a question on the WhatsApp line that says, please can you ask your panel about the lack of fun fabrics in South Africa? Gareth, I'm going to direct this to you.
Listen, I think there's a lot of fun fabrics, so I'm going to disagree with your listener. But I think fabrics are one of those things that keep on being reinvented. I think there was a lot of boucle for a long time. That sort of white, it's got like a furry kind of texture, like it almost looks like a jersey that you've washed too many times. And there are a lot of petitions to see that come to its final end, although I still like it. But I think there's very cool fabric brands, and I think you're going to discover them all there. I think all your favorite houses are there, but there's also really exciting other brands that are printing people's patterns onto furniture. We've got a new brand that's launching at Decorex this year called Couch with a K. And they worked with an artist to create a custom print that goes onto this couch, which I can't wait for people to see. So I'd love to know from this listener, what would be more fun, so I can tell every single exhibitor that people are bored of fabric.
Okay, and I think maybe it is the thing, Gareth, of the lack of exposure, because people limit themselves to where they go and look for certain things. So I think make sure to the person who sent through that question around fun fabrics that you head over to Decorex and attend, and you will get lots of exposure to what is on offer and what is on display. We need to take another break. When we come back, we continue.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Tsapang from Midrand. I love 72 because of the credibility of their news, the also credibility of their information. You can rely on their presenters, and on a lighter note, I also love their Whiz Quiz feature.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts,
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
It all starts with FNB Private. With secure, easy payments for a hassle-free overseas holiday. Tap, swipe, or go digital with your FNB Visa cards. Earn rewards when using your FNB credit card or global account debit and virtual card. You can even fund your global account on the FNB app while traveling. Make the most of every moment. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TCs, earn rules and limits apply.
Oh, Shane, do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers two options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual action, soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple action, pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it.
As the official retail partner of the Springboks, Pick n Pay is proud to back the box and give you the chance to be the ultimate smart supporter with Pick n Pay ASAP. Money or the box on 702.
WhatsApp your name, ID number, and the word ASAP to 072 702 1702. You could face the ultimate choice, a mystery Springbok supporter prize, or Pick and Pay ASAP vouchers worth up to 2,000 Rand. It's time to show your box spirit. Money or the box with Pick and Pay ASAP. Friday on 702 Drive with John Perlman. T's and C's on primemediaplus.com. Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
12 minutes to 3 o'clock. 702 Drive with John Perlman is coming up. And of course, we need to find out what is coming up on his show. John, how are you doing?
Doing well, thanks. And you, good afternoon to all the listeners.
I'm doing well. What's coming up on your show today?
So, President Cyril Ramaphosa, if you look at the TV screen behind you, currently in Parliament, he will be asked questions, I'm sure, about the issues arising out of allegations made by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. We'll be hearing a little bit about that after 5 o'clock, depending a little bit on when he finishes, but we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Ferial Haffajee at Daily Maverick has done a study of how many power outages there have been in Johannesburg. This in the era of, by and large, no load shedding. The numbers are absolutely startling, but the reasons are perhaps even more alarming. She'll talk about that with us at 10 to 4. Very important judgment in the courts. Relebogile Mabotja instructed to close down certain Instagram and WhatsApp accounts. This in regard to pornography, child pornography being transmitted and shared across those platforms. Rupert Candy is the attorney who is involved in that. Looking forward to talk to him about that a little bit later. There's talk out there that there may be a pilot strike. This is never good news
for
anybody. Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
Commercial airlines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, listen, if it was anything else, it would have dire consequences for the economy. But commercial airlines. We're trying to find out more about that, and we hope to bring you that story a little bit later. And then, as we get closer to the 1st of August, the tariffs, whatever they're going to be with the United States, come into effect. It's already hammering the motor industry. When we think of the motor industry and those consequences, Relebogile, we tend to think of cars, but there's a whole industry around that. People who make gear sticks, if there's still gears, I don't know, but to make rear view mirrors and make seats, and there's a massive industry around that. How they're being hit, we'll talk about that after 5 o'clock. And then we're going to get people's stories, please, on meeting the parents of the person you've just started dating.
Oh.
Stories, please. But also, if you are now the parents casting a beady eye on the rather scruffy young man who's just walked through the door, maybe you want to share some of those tales as well.
Oh, we must definitely tune in for that, because it's not just the stress of the parents with the scruffy young boy. It's also the boy bringing home the new girl, as in the mama's boy bringing home the new
stress
lady.
All round, but hopefully there were a few laughs.
Let's hope so too. Let's hope so too.
We promise not to laugh if you're still stressed, but a funny story always helps.
702 Drive with John Perlman coming up from 3 to 6 p.m.
702
Masterclass.
9 minutes to 3 o'clock. We continue with our master class. Your calls on 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Thank you to the person on the WhatsApp line who's like, Relebogile, that room divider is called a set of display units. I like it. Set of display units. And we're chatting to Alan Hayward and Gareth van Niekerk, Executive Creative Directors of Decorex, as well as Ilse Wessels, Curator, Artist and Design Educator at Greenside Design Centre. So now, just in terms of the questions coming through on the WhatsApp line, one says, and I'm not sure who to direct this to, maybe you, Alan, what is the value of Frankalona wood? I have a photo frame that is A3.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What is the value of Frankalona wood? I have a photo frame that is A3. So is it something that is super valuable?
I would have no idea about that particular thing.
Ilse might know. Ilse?
I'm like, how do we spell that? I don't even know.
I'm also out on this one. Don't look at me.
Okay, I will not look at either of you, but I'll see if somebody's able to help us with the Frankalona wood. And then we've got a voice note on 0727021702.
Hey, Relebogile and team. Never look down on a room divider. My mom still has that room divider, and it's her pride and joy because she sat down with a guy that made it, and they designed it from scratch. Expensive wood that was bought and everything. It was a big deal for her, and it still exists in our house today. Very much a big feature in our house. Yeah, and it's still a lot of families' pride and joy that they actually do own a room divider.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that story. It is always nice to know the stories behind certain pieces, especially from back in the days where we were getting things from Ella Reens and Joshua Dorr. I'm sure we are all old enough, Ilza, Gareth, and Alan, to remember those places that that served us. So, ChatGPT tells me that Frankelona wood is from the Franklin tree, but it's extremely rare and it's not harvested timber, and it is a local hardwood. But maybe somebody can let us know that what the price of that could be, considering it is hardwood. I'm giving Ellen and Gareth homework for next time. You can come and give us a feedback and on that particular one. You're going to be giving a talk, Ilse. Please tell us about it at Decorex.
Yes, we are facilitating a beautiful talk from the Greenside Design Center with two artists, one philosopher, and one interior designer. Neo Lohoko Nsako Nkunu Nwabisa Nhlokwana, and then Bongisa Msutu, who is my colleague at the Greenside Design Center. And we're going to be talking about the space that we designed for the future of living in collaboration with our second year students at the Greenside Design Center. We're going to try unpack how much meaning is embedded into every single facet of that space. And we're also going to be talking about the future, of course, the future, planning the future, drafting the future. Everyone's got an intersection and interest in architecture and design. Nwabisa builds these beautiful wooden sculptures, and Sako specifically working with institutions of suburbia and that context of found materials and building within suburbia. And Neo is a landscape architect also who's very interested in cities, and whereas Bongisa is this co-educator that I work with and has helped facilitate this space in collaboration with students. So we are going to be talking about this context of how the future of living is one that is collaborative and inclusive towards the youth and learning from students as the future generation of designers. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Very excited to share the process and give people insight into how everything came to be.
Thank you so much for sharing about that, Ilse. Guys, the war of the room divider continues. Somebody else says, isn't a room divider called a credenza? Isn't the credenza the short one? Ellen or Gareth?
The credenza is the short one.
Okay,
there's a whole lot of different. Yeah, there's a whole lot of different names depending on what
I am
it is.
Googling right now. I can't. This war needs to end.
Because I think it's display cabinet, because the room divider was always like height of almost ceiling height, whereas credenza, from what I understand, is like waist level. So it's something that you could put in your entrance hall and put your flowers on top of, but I could be wrong. Ellen and Gareth, you have a lot of homework. But before we wrap up, can one of you very quickly tell me about the Capitec Handmade Africa?
Yeah, so Capitec Handmade Africa this year at Decorex is split into two parts. We have a pavilion, which features 11 of, I think, the continent's best designers. It's an incredible project that's sponsored by Capitec, and it really works to celebrate the best makers from Morocco to Namibia to Botswana. And so within that pavilion, in 100% design on the second floor of Decorex, there's a really incredible, inspiring display of select pieces from these guys. And then alongside that, we have the Capitec Handmade Africa Design Market, which is one of our proudest platforms. It spans across 2 levels and it features dozens of I think, what are the most exciting emerging makers from the continent. And it's really part of Decorex's project to support emerging designers and startups in the decor industry. And it's about being affordable, and it's exciting. And the big plan is to give visitors a chance to shop future classics just before they become global and maybe out of our price range. So yeah, I think together these two things are really an opportunity to just experience the cutting edge of what we consider African luxury.
Lady and gents, thank you so much for coming through and chatting to us in our masterclass. Now, from the 24th of July to the 27th of July, Decorex Joburg returns to the Sandton Convention Centre, now spanning 5 halls. Explore over 300 brands, shop exclusive show specials, and discover the latest in interiors, kitchens, bathrooms, and luxury finishes. Experience live interactive demos, expert-led talks, and the Handmade Africa Design Market. There's something for every style, space, and home. Book your tickets now at decorex.co.za or buy at the door.
We love rating things, our phones, our cars, but our health? Your health lets you do what you love with the people you love. So who are you staying healthy for, and how can you improve your health? Choose Dis-Chem Life, the life cover that helps you live a healthier, more rewarding, longer life with regular health checks. Visit dischemlife.co.za now. Dis-Chem Life. Choose a better partner for life. Dis-Chem Life is an authorized FSP 50594, underwritten by Guard Risk Life, a licensed life insurer, FSP 76. T's and C's apply.
Get ready to feel your stride with a delicious cup of Milo. It's 702 Walk the Talk, packed with 6 vitamins and 3 minerals to help power your walk from start to finish. Swing by the Milo van for a tasty boost and experience the same energy that fuels South Africa's future champs every day. Milo, energy to go further.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
What information do you base your claim on?
I received information directly from senior sources in the U.S. administration in Washington.
You're saying your information is based from a senior source in the Trump administration.
More than one source, yes.
Why would they tell you this?
The DA keeps its communication channels with Washington, D.C. open.
Emma Powell, DA spokesperson, international relations.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Bank, a leading Pan-African bank and proud sponsor of the African Blockchain Report 2024. Absa is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Thank you so much for joining us on 702 Afternoons. No, I'm not back tomorrow. Guys, I'll be back in a week and a bit. I'm going to be heading over to summer in France, but I'll tell you all about it when I come back. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Ramaphosa promises the national dialogue won't be another talk shop, and the ANC in Gauteng wants a crackdown on drug cartels. Good afternoon, I'm Khomozo Modise. We begin in Parliament, where President Cyril Ramaphosa has... Good afternoon, I'm Khomozo Modise. We begin in Parliament, where President Cyril Ramaphosa has addressed criticism that the national dialogue will be another talk shop, saying the aim is to find ways